Temple, I was exhausted, too tired to take a shower and change my clothes, which we always did when we left the temple and entered into the material world. So we came back and showered before we came into the temple. That day, however, I just slipped quietly and rather guiltily into the sewing room to store my purchases that I'd made for the deities. Unexpectedly, my husband Panchajanya, the temple president's closest ally, came into the sewing room. He told me that they had received a call direct from Gopal Krishna in Vrindavan. He said, it seemed, that Srila Prabhupada had passed away. He told me not to show any emotion or to cry, but to gather all the ladies to the temple room for kirtan while they tried to confirm the message. My first thought was, how could my child know Krishna without Srila Prabhupada? But service called, and in a stumbling, bemused way, I gathered up the girls, brought them, we all came to the temple room, and we chanted and cried all night long, all of the devotees in the temple. We just spent the whole night in the temple room chanting. I navigated the next few days in a haze of incomprehension and travelled by train with the girls' Sankirtan party to Milano to push on book distribution. That we knew would please Srila Prabhupada. In the following months, we all came together, united from all over the world with one mission, wherever we found ourselves, to push on Prabhupada's vision in the ways he had trained us, following his Vani, not his Vapu. So my memories of this final parting is one of love and coming together, a oneness between the many of us. It is that bond of love that has become what glues me forever to a bunch of people whose only common connection is that they would really like everyone in the world to experience that same unconditional love, and the unifying vision of Pandita Samadarshana. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for bringing us all together and inspiring our hearts with love. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Bhagini. Lovely offering. I was particularly, brought to my mind when you said that in those days you always took shower when you came out of the material back into the temple. Another thing I noticed about temple rooms back in those days, not that I was quite there at that time, was you would never see a chair in the temple room. Soon there won't be any space to stand in temple rooms because of chairs. And I also like the point that I think you said, your husband said, that not to show any emotion, and then you spent the night chanting and crying. And so good tradition of not following these. Fantastic. Thank you, Bhagini. Next we'd like to call on Prahlad Bhakta Prabhu.
I was going to say something similar that's already been said by Kripa Moy and his wife and something, so I'm not going to reiterate that. But just to parse it, I was reading recently Hari Sori's the return to Vrindavan, where he was there with Prabhupada, and prior to that, his 5th transcendental diary. And one was October 1976, and the second one was October 1977. And the change from Prabhupada in that 12 months was very, very extreme. But when reading the transcript of the Prabhupada's last hours and last days there in Vrindavan, I was getting annoyed with Tamas Krishna's insistence on demanding that Prabhupada not leave. Prabhupada's body was, as he said himself, it was finished. It was painful. He wanted, as any other normal human being would want to go in that state, would want to go, would want to be released from that pain, that suffering. And there was Kirtanananda trying to force medicine into him, and there's Tamal demanding. I was annoyed, in a sense, with Tamal. But I think I understood what you were saying here, is that the movement was Prabhupada back then. There wasn't any other concept. It was like, if it's like the sun, basically. We revolved around the sun. When the sun came up, we were there, we were alive. And if suddenly tomorrow the sun were to disappear off the planet, it would be something comparable to that. It was just like inconceivable. And I remember when I was in Sydney at the time, and when the phone call came, our temple president told us that Prabhupada had passed. And my thought is, what can we do? What happens now? How it's the end. And of course, it's not the end. It's because Prabhupada left us a legacy of how to deal with ourselves, how to grow communities, how to develop ourselves. And I think I was brought up as a strict Catholic, and I managed to get to Australia and become a hippie, and I got rid of all that Catholic guilt stuff, and it was great. And then I met the devotees, and they preached to me, and I was so angry because I knew what they were saying was true, and it spoiled my life totally. So Srila Prabhupada, I mean, in one sense, you spoiled my life. I've tried to get away a few times. When I broke my leg in the temple, I couldn't get away. So many times I've tried to get away, but somehow, in spite of everything, I'm still here. So I understand that you've given a lifestyle, and that's great. We have prasadam, we have sadhu sangha, we have so many wonderful things to help us in our material development as devotees. But I think for me, as being such a skeptic, what you've allowed me to do by keeping me here is because at one stage you obviously opened the jar of honey and you tasted it, you know what it tastes like. And you assured us that if we keep trying to open the lid, open the